Hey guys, this is a pair of Koozer XM390 hubs. About a year ago, I did a video on these hubs where I compared them with the DT Swiss 350 hubs, and I discussed at the time that I had changed out some of my DT Swiss 350 hubs for these Koozer XM390, even though I had some miles on them. I thought it would be important to come back, this is a year and a half later, and give you an update on how these hubs have performed. Basically, over the year and a half, I have put these hubs on almost every one of my electric bikes, and I've had a chance to test them or see how they perform in all sorts of conditions. And overall, I've been very favorably impressed with these hubs for what they are. But there are four things I want to highlight related to these hubs and an update on their performance. First of all, as I said, I really like the way the hubs perform. They have a ratchet inside that has 36 notches on it. There are 6 pawls. And based on how the hubs perform and looking at some of the detailed information, I believe they have a 5-degree angle of attachment on the hubs. I'm not sure about that. There's a lot of conflicting information, but that's basically where they are. They have less play in the drive line than a DT Swiss 350 hub with an 18-tooth ratchet, but they clearly don't have as much attachment or firmness in the attachment as a DT Swiss 350 with a 54-tooth ratchet in it. But they do perform somewhere in between there. It's the sort of slip or the hesitation in the engagement is not that severe. You do notice it sometimes, but it's nothing where I would want to give up the hubs for that. And of course, the trade-off is there's not nearly as much kickback as there is with a higher point of engagement. So they're kind of right in the middle. I like that, and it performs well for me. Overall, though, the hubs, have held up really well. They have not caused any problems with spoke issues, and just in general, they've performed very well. The second thing, though, that I want to point out or update on these hubs is that I did have an axle break on one of the rear hubs, and I did a separate video discussing the axle breaking and what I did about it, and you can look at that video to get the details. But basically, the rear axle in these hubs, when I originally got them, were made of aluminum, and over time, on one of my bikes, the flexing of that axle, I believe, caused it to break. Now, Koozer does offer as an upgrade steel axles, and based on that, I went in and replaced all the aluminum axles with steel axles, and I've not had any further problems. So if you do have a set of these hubs, I would encourage you to check your rear axle, and if it's an aluminum axle, I believe it would be best to replace that with a steel axle. The third thing I want to talk about is that the hubs, I do take the Freehub buddy off and check how it looks on the inside, and I have noticed some places where the Freehub body pawl area is engaging or rubbing against the inside of the hub. It was pretty bad on the hub that had the axle which broke. I have noticed it on other hubs. I'm not sure if that occurred while the aluminum axle was in there, but even though there's some scarring, the hub has not failed. They still continue to work properly. I periodically go in and take the Freehub body off and put a little grease in there. I typically do that at roughly the same time when I'm servicing the front fork. And I've not, even though there is some scarring, they have not failed at this point. The fourth item I'd like to talk about is maybe the most significant, and that is, as of mid-July 2025, these hubs are no longer shown as available for sale on AliExpress. I purchased the hubs that I have off the Koozer homepage on AliExpress, and in going in and looking on that page, these hubs are no longer available. I tried to find, looking at the Koozer website and looking at other Koozer hubs, what would be an appropriate replacement. And at this point, I do not have enough information to know what I would recommend as a replacement for these hubs. Also do not know if they've just stopped making these hubs or if there's just some type of supply disruption and they're out of inventory. Anyway, that's my update on the hubs. I like them. As I said, I don't plan to change them out on the bikes that I have them on, and I'll continue to use them. So I hope I've given you something to think about, and I'll see you guys at the top.